Fraud is, in a way, the driving force of progress in Russia today. This is fraud. Theft, fraud, they give stupid people a chance to make money. Fraud is ultimately stupidity, not intelligence. These mutants, there should be even more of them appearing in our society now. Society will be cleaned out from all sides. Ukraine will be cleared out, Israel will be cleared out, and then mutants will be sent in there. And we will be obliged to show respect. We will absolutely be obligated to be unwavering in our allegiance and accommodating and understanding. I can guarantee you, in the foreseeable future, you will undoubtedly have to incur financial obligations for even the most trivial action you undertake. At Pulkovo, the cost to visit the smoking room is 500 rubles. And now at Pulkovo, you can't smoke for free. You'll have to pay that money. This is the first airport in Russia where smoking has become a paid option. On the one hand, maybe that's a good thing. The nation's health will improve. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't eat meat, so voila, it doesn't really matter to me. But for people, it actually does matter. People want to ruin their own health. They smoke, they're used to it. So 500 rubles to visit the smoking room. And sometimes people spend a long time in airports, so you go out and come back in. After a couple of hours, you wait and wait, then go to smoke again, and that's another 500 rubles. That's expensive, isn't it? Well, I think that's really quite expensive. There's this prevailing idea, this thought, that all our cars, especially high-end, luxury class automobiles, are going to decline. They're not really needed now, let's say, for simply driving around and showing off your income. In other words, to present yourself as a luxury man. Right? So, if the preliminary results of Jaguar's rebranding turned out to be a failure in April 2025, sales dropped by 97%, from 1,167 cars to 49%. I didn't really understand what they were trying to say at all. All I understood is that car sales dropped by 75%. No matter how much they try to promote themselves through black girls who work as models. Well, yes, Jaguar models, black girls. It's all wonderful, friends, but that's not going to attract the world's wealthy young men. These days, they prefer other cars, and those cars are completely different. They're the kind that have never gone into mass production. If you have money, you buy other cars. No money? Well, if you don't have money, you don't have to drive a Jaguar. You can go for something simpler. Scammers are massively deceiving applicants by pretending to be university admissions officers. They promise admission to state-funded spots and demand that you follow a phishing link to a fake government services website to enter your personal information. Those who refuse are threatened that without this they won't be able to help and won't accept their documents. Yes, of course, what wouldn't you do for your children? But fraud is kind of the engine of progress in Russia these days. This is fraud, theft fraud. They give stupid people away to make money. Fraud is, after all, stupidity. It's not intelligence. Since the beginning of the year, the wealth of the richest Russians has grown by more than $24.5 billion. Just like that. What about those rich people? I don't know. I just can't imagine. Well, it went up, so it went up. Starting today, utility prices in Russia are soaring by 40%. By government order, rates will rise up to 21% in Moscow and St. Petersburg. The rates are set by the regions, from 8.5% to 38%. That's Omsk. No, that's Izhevsk. Izhevsk is 38%, and Omsk is 39%. So what, are they going to fix your burst pipes or anything else for you? I doubt it. They will inevitably collect from their own people anyway. The Federation Council has recently proposed the rather harsh measure of beating Russians with a stick and subsequently sending them to mandatory community service for the act of reposting deepfakes. Voila, this is indeed a significant development. Let's read again what you wanted to tell us. The Federation Council has proposed beating Russians with a stick and sending them to community service for reposting deepfakes. And who determines what these deepfakes are? What if it's actually the real truth? And the official truth isn't real at all, but is actually the fake. So what are we supposed to do? If you truly know the absolute real truth and then post it publicly, but then they immediately say, it's completely fake and even suggest physically beating you with sticks, perhaps even sturdy ones? Yes, my friends. Russian citizens should be strictly punished for spreading false materials created by artificial intelligence, stated Alexander Vysokinsky, Deputy Chairman of the Federation Council Committee on Federal Structure, Regional Policy, Local Self-Government, and Northern Affairs. The senator voiced the idea of further tightening the legislation during a discussion in the Federation Council of the report on the implementation of national state policy for 2024, presented by the head of the Federal Agency for Nationalities Affairs, Igor Barinov. He reported on the alleged attempts at aggressive external information and psychological influence operations by unfriendly states. These operations, he noted, were designed to subtly manipulate public opinion. If we don't beat people with a stick for fakes, then everyone who is not too lazy will repost. Maybe we should introduce liability for reposting a fake, 3 years of community service. This is how Vysokinsky addressed Barinov. Voila. Well, of course, we can only laugh. What to do, friends? What should we do with you now? Scold with aggression at everyone around. I think we shouldn't do that. If we are too aggressive in our approach, well, would it not be incredibly interesting to have a conversation with you, to truly listen to your thoughts and perspectives, right? People don't like aggressive people. And now, aggression is developing so much, people are getting so incredibly worked up, that they are becoming active psychopaths, exhibiting disturbing and dangerous behaviors that pose a significant threat to society and themselves. Because that's the policy. The prevailing policy is such that people just react in a truly psychopathic manner to absolutely everything that is happening around them. They inevitably become helpless victims of the constant news cycle and consequently react aggressively to virtually everything, often spewing forth considerable malice and negativity. So maybe we should avoid such, let's say, spitters. We don't need them, we don't have spitters. We should still try to be reasonable. Aggression is always inherent to the animal side of us. This aggression is senseless. It's incomprehensible. Oh, friends, I recently visited just the other day a certain graduating institution. As I was passing by one of the display cases, I saw, it's not news to me, but it's interesting, that in the very best schools in Switzerland, there are posters hanging on the walls that say, Je suis mutant. Je suis mutant. Understand? I am a mutant. So what does this mean? Maybe it won't be so clear to all of you if I just say that mutants live among us. But a large number of mutants have already been created, and they are living among us now. These mutants are supposed to appear in even greater numbers in our society soon. Society will be cleaned out from all sides. Ukraine will be cleansed, Israel will be cleansed, and then mutants will be sent in there. Je suis mutant. And we will be obliged to show respect. We will have to be loyal and tolerant toward these people. But, well, they're not people, right? They're mutants. That's a different thing. We won't be able to call them people because, first and foremost, they're mutants. How long have they been introduced into society? A very long time. There's a movie called Oh Lucky Man, where a guy from Manhattan, New York, accidentally ends up in some clinic, and when he wakes up, his head is still his own. He understands everything, but his body is that of a bull. He woke up in the body of a bull, but that's not a mutant. These are, let's say, operations where they try to transplant a head onto another body, an animal's body, and see how the animal will behave with a human head. This episode is shown in the film The Boar. There are several episodes. I don't remember exactly how many, but it's a multi-episode film and quite an interesting one. After watching this film, you realize that the boar running through the forests was not just an ordinary boar. It was a boar with a human brain transplanted into it. That's why, being a sentient boar with a human brain, he behaved inappropriately and completely differently. Moreover, he was chipped and followed the commands of his doctor, who directed him this way or that. This shows that, just like in New York, what year was it? I can't remember, when they released Lucky, probably 1967. Can you imagine how long ago that was? Did you know about this? No? It never even crossed your mind. Back then, I watched things that were never shown in Russia. Here it was all blah blah blah, some kind of Indian movies. For us, Indian cinema was considered culture. We showed Spartacus. That was an American film. And my mom would come home and we'd ask, Mom, how was the movie? Do you understand that there basically weren't any movies in Russia back then? And our mom would sit down and retell the movie to us. She was already tired and wanted to sleep, but the two girls, my sister and I, would wait for our mom to come home and tell us about the movie Spartacus. We really wanted to hear it. We were so interested. You see, in Russia, in the Soviet Union, we were so far removed from any kind of culture. Now, it might seem to you that this culture has always been with us. And what kind of culture do you have before you now? Pop music. Useless, terrible pop music that surrounds you. And you call this culture? Really? In the form of that same Maxim Galkin, in the form of Kirkorov. But this is just a nightclub. These are songs from a nightclub. This is not culture. But meanwhile, our opera singer Maksakova has been sentenced to arrest, and she's already been arrested in absentia, because living in Germany, she says something inappropriate about Russia, makes some kind of appeals. Maksakova, yes, I haven't heard from her in a long time, probably about 2 years now, but she used to talk about interesting things that we didn't know. And for those who don't know, I recommend just listening. If you want to know something about officials, she talks a lot about the lives of officials, about how they live, debauchery, cocaine, drinking, who's having affairs with whom. That's kind of interesting to you, isn't it, friends? But you need to know this, so you don't end up telling me I respect them. There's this one subscriber of mine who's been with me for a very long time. She used to correspond with me. She's a smart woman, knows the language or languages very well, and yet she has such an unfortunate fate. Life throws challenges at you, yes, and these challenges, she hasn't managed to overcome them in her life as far as I can see. I wanted to help her, but she just doesn't listen. That means she can't get through it. She simply can't hear, even if you're giving her the right advice. So she gave me the example of two guys who are, well, homosexuals, let's say, by their orientation. One of them, well, I think you know which one, even appeared on my channel. And the second one is another guy, well, he broadcasts in English. She sent me his content to listen to and was very enthusiastic about him, proud even. And then she writes to me, I pray for them, they need my support. Then she writes to me that everyone around is dirty people, dirty. And why does she have such a fate? To which I reply, how can you pray for people who, by their moral, psychological, and physical nature, are essentially dirty, and then expect your own fate to improve? In other words, you haven't learned your lesson. You are given a chance, you don't take it. You're given something new, it's put right in front of you, and again, you don't take it. And it's not like she's being beaten or anything, right? She's simply being given the opportunity to look at this situation. And that one. No, she stood her ground. She stood up for both guys. She insisted that they needed to be prayed for. And so, for about 6 months, this kind of correspondence went on. I stopped responding so actively to these exclamations that they needed her prayers. I don't think so. I don't think so. These guys want to live their own lives. They want to be the way they are, and you shouldn't interfere. Why? Of course, you can say, I think you're wrong. If one of them wants to, well, just listen to you, right? But what if you mean nothing to them? Whether you pray or not, you only take on their negativity, and that means you give away a part of your own life. So when misfortunes happen to those who pray for the wrong people, well, there you have it, friends. It's a truly sad and unfortunate event when you deliberately undermine the very foundation of your own life and existence. It's a terrifying, terrifying moment when people don't realize that they're doing harm to themselves. No, they're not supposedly dirty, but they get involved in the dirt of two guys. I think that's clear, right? When you mentally, truly, and completely get into this dirt, mentally, absolutely, and essentially, then you yourself become virtually and profoundly, let's say, untouchable, deeply and inherently, in the sense of the untouchable caste, fundamentally, and in a very real sense. In India, there are those whom you can't touch because they're considered dirty. In India, the division into castes is proper. We can talk about this, we can think about this. But talking about it is probably not allowed anymore, I think. You can simply name the castes and how each caste relates to another caste. That's allowed. But I think expressing your opinion in favor of one side or the other is not allowed, because that's considered intolerant. So with our tolerance, we've ended up in a deadlock. When will you finally become a mutant? Say the posters in the very best elite schools in Switzerland. It all starts from there, from the top. These are the future rulers of your entire world. Even now, at this very moment, they are completely and utterly accepting of such provocative posters. They understand that it's inevitable. Inevitable, it's just normal life for them. But we judge. But maybe we're right. Why should the whole world be like us? But the world doesn't want to be. We are being presented with completely different forms of intelligent life, humans in various bodies. And this, very soon enough, will inevitably become our undeniable reality. Starting from the year 2026, you will undoubtedly begin to see such extraordinary people, these remarkable mutants, living among you, within your communities. They will be unexpected. They will, of course, be artificially created, but they will have the ability to reproduce. 4 years ago, I made a video on this very topic. Back then, the video probably didn't attract much interest, and now my message also won't generate much interest. But in 2 years, people will start talking about it, and you all will be thinking and talking about it as if you're hearing it for the first time. But what is said 4 years before or 10 years before, that mutants are among us, people don't remember. Human memory is very short. I am Tanya Gorotsova Said-Burkan. July 1st, 2025. Friends, I have recently found a wonderful new platform, a truly innovative new platform for posting videos and sharing content. In Russia, and possibly in other countries, YouTube channels and YouTube programs are currently unavailable. This new platform is called NewsRocks, which allows you to post videos without censorship. No, of course, there shouldn't be anything illegal, as I understand it. But in principle, it's uncensored. I've started to get the hang of this platform. Right now, I'm promoting myself on this platform. Come join if you also want to post and have people watch you somewhere other than YouTube. Come on in. Start your own channels. Very soon, I'll share a link to my page on this platform. That is, my website will be there. My website along with my videos. Come check it out, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know how it works for you.